guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a very, very big day. We are testing the Rotor Rx7 car at OSW. I'm gonna be able to test out my big girl tires, 305 Kumo tires. I'm gonna also be testing out just a few different compounds. And this is going to be the first time that we're driving the Rotor car. Hopefully no issues. So we've tackled our suspension and grip issues, hopefully with some BC Racing coilovers and a custom front sway bar. And we have a new Mishimoto oil cooler on the car, and our temps have been looking nice. So I'm really, really excited today to hopefully be one of the very first times I get to drive the Rotor Rx7. I'm headed over to OSW. We already loaded up the trailer, and Nick is on his way right now. So let's get into it. Rolling in right at 10 a.m. and the track is ours from 10 to 3. All set. Nick was setting up auto logging on the electronic ECU so that we can log every single run that we do and Nick can go over it. And we have 5 new sets of tires here to test out. 6 if you include the fronts, which I threw on. A fresh set of PS91 235s on the front. But today I'm going to be testing some big girl tires for the first time. Now, I mentioned in the last video how we're going to be trying 305s, but in 2 different compounds. So I have 305, 3019, and a V730, and then I also have that in PS91. So PS91 compound is the one that I've done all of my drifting on, so I'm super familiar with it. So I'm going to be starting on old reliable, what I'm used to, PS91 and 275. I already have a fresh set of those on the car currently, just to get a baseline and notice all the other changes that have been done to the car, which would be our oil cooler, which will be awesome. So hopefully you won't have any temperature issues. Nick made a custom front sway bar, and I have my new BC Racing coilovers on the car. So I'm hoping we'll get a lot more grip out of those changes alone. After I fill the car out with what I'm used to, I think I'm gonna first try a different compound in a 285/18. This is V720. So I'm gonna go from the 18 I'm used to another 18 in a different compound, slightly bigger. And then when I'm feeling good, we'll break out the big girl tires. But I'm just gonna get a feel for the car. I'm really excited to potentially really drive this thing today. So wish me luck. Now let's see if I can get comfortable in this thing. It's always such a hassle with all like the padding that I need. I definitely want to pour myself like a custom 4-seat for this car and the Corvette this year. I just saw my first run and I can't believe how much smoke this car is making. I'm just not used to that. I'm used to drifting my stock 350Z or stock C6 Corvette last year. So now for the first time ever, I'm having too much smoke in the cab, and that's an issue, but I feel like that's a cool issue to have, you know? Like, man, I'm making too much smoke. So I'm gonna go try and find some duct tape, or something. And we think smoke is getting in from right here, right?
Yeah, you can
that's
see
like right in the wheel well. Oh, I can see your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, so that's what's blinding me.
Yeah.
So maybe you can just throw some tape on those two corners. Maybe some is getting in back there. We don't have like ducting or anything, but I think that's the biggest problem. So, but first run went good. We're just gonna keep logging, getting data, and hopefully I'm getting more and more comfortable. There's not a layout on the track right now, so I think I'm just gonna do the layout that they usually do for the FT cars and just keep my fingers crossed. I'm very excited, but also nervous, but also super stoked. This car sounds so good. Sounds good. All right, we got that side completely taped up over there and this side here. So hopefully that'll help. The engine is still pushing a lot of oil out of it. I have super high crankcase pressure and I just don't understand why. We've been trying to figure this out honestly since the first time that we had it running. We're hoping maybe it was slightly overfilled and it'll just get better as we continue to run, but we'll find out. Still having audio issues with that mic setup. I'm still dialing it in, guys, so I apologize. But basically those last few runs felt so much better. I finally got my first run over with, reset, went back out for 3 laps, and by the last lap I was feeling so much better. Like the front sway bar and the new BCs on the car made such a difference. Like I feel like I can actually drive the car now and put it where I want to, and we're only on the PS91 275 tires right now, so I am stoked. I'm already feeling so much better, and we haven't even moved up to our big girl 305 tires yet, so I'm really happy with it. We still are getting just a little bit of oil oil pushing out of the engine, which is what we're going to continue to look into. Right now, Vargas and Nick are going over the logs, again, to dial in that partial throttle stuff, because we never really had the opportunity to do so. But right now, feeling good. I still just need to get myself acclimated to driving a turbo drift car. Never have before. It's definitely a lot more work, but a lot of fun as well. So I'm gonna do a few more sessions on this PS91 275, get comfortable, probably lower the pressures a little bit, and then change to a different compound. But so far so good. I love this car. Set of tires on the rear, really to just help keep the car as consistent as possible while I'm trying to figure out the setup that I like the most. The second set that we put on is the same compound and tire size. This is still 275, so the car should be exactly the same. I think we're gonna go back to that setup before the last session and make it a little softer. Take the 5 clips that he made it stiffer, take that back off, and see if I like it better, and just go from there. I really just want to get a solid baseline dialed in with the setup of the car before I start throwing out all these other variables at myself by changing the tire compound. I think we can get there in the next few sessions. Really well, actually, and he's the one that's been working with Vargas to just dial in the tune. So he's gonna take the car out. The tires are still completely dead, but he just wants to feel that partial throttle, and then we'll have a better understanding of each other going forward. But yeah, tires were dead. I gotta be extra cautious now of going through tires now that I have all that 3-rotor power. My last good lap out where I just messed up like the last part of it, that felt probably the best of the day. A lot of that too is just me getting comfortable, keeping the RPMs up, having to work a lot harder to keep a big turbo car like this in boost. It is set up to use nitrous eventually if we want it, but right now we just want to get it good without it. But I'm feeling better. I think it's a good time to go to our 305s now that we have our baseline essentially on the tire that I'm used to. It's time.
It's time.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Good girl tires are going on. So again, like I mentioned, we're sticking with the same compound, PS91, and just going up to the 305/19. I do wish that I had a few more laps on the compound and tire size that I'm used to, because there's just so much going on, but I do feel like I got a lap in there where I feel more comfortable, more in control, and more consistent. So we're losing track time here, and I really want to test the bigger size out, and hopefully this makes an improvement. last maybe few laps there, I kept smelling something and I didn't know what it was. And I started getting nervous, so I came in, and as I was sitting in there letting the car cool down, I finally saw where it was coming from. There was some smoke coming from like behind the ECU panel, and it was the relay for the fans in the rear. So I went like 3 laps smelling something, and it got worse, and thank God it didn't get too bad. I hopped out, I threw the fire extinguisher out, had pin pulled, and luckily I didn't have to use it. But that was scary.
It worked too well?
Jeez, I was ready. I was ready, y'all. Did it heat anything else up?
No, it kind of melted the fuse box a little bit, but it's not too bad. You can see like it literally broke. This is the fuse.
The 2 pieces in there, and that's the rest of it.
So like the fuse is supposed to break in there, but this one literally like just melted off.
It smelled like coolant, if anything, like dirty water.
I can tell, yeah. But
and then
if you know electrical fire smell, that was definitely
that was it.
Fire, yeah. Now you know.
Logged.
Now you know.
Logged into the memory. Hey, at least it's pretty good instinct if I was sus about it.
Yeah, no, I'm.
You know,
yeah.
I was like, something ain't right.
The fans are still working.
Yeah, that's what was weird because
that doesn't make sense.
Temps were fine, and I did like 3 laps with this smell, like wondering what it was, and our temps were perfectly fine. So maybe right when I pulled in, I think it went, because that's when I looked over and saw some smoke coming out and freaked you guys out. I grabbed the bottle and was like spraying it, pulled the pin. Luckily we didn't have to use it, so we didn't make a mess anywhere. But that will probably be our day. I wanted to throw on the different compound while everything was like fresh in my mind with the 305s, but I'm at least 70% sure this is it. This felt so good, and we know that that compound is good for drifting. The wear is great, it's pretty even, and now I just have a bigger tire size to help with the overall grip. The smaller sidewall wasn't bad. That was the main thing that I was worried about, is that I was going from, what are these? I think this is a 40 sidewall on my 18s with our 275, and I was switching and going down to a 30 sidewall, but it was on a bigger tire for the 305. So these are really, really good. Now we know that a great baseline going forward is going to be set on these 305 30s for our PS91s. We're at the end of the day here, and luckily nothing bad happened. It was an almost fire, but not a fire. Overall, great day. I think for me, I really just had to work on getting comfortable drifting a turbo car. This was the very first time that we were actually testing.
This car actually worked the whole day.
It worked the whole day. We were actually able to run consistent laps. We got through the tires that I'm used to in the smaller size, and immediately throwing on the 305, it felt better. With this sidewall, it was more grip, and I felt like I had more control immediately.
Did it have more side bite?
I don't know about more. It had more overall grip. I didn't have less.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what I was worried about. Now we know that this is a great starting point, not only for this car, but for the C6 Corvette as well. So
that car's gonna beat it.
Well, that is it for this video. Overall, I'm really, really happy with how today went. I can't believe, I spent a whole track day just ripping on the 3-rotor car. I know there's a lot more that I need to learn and get comfortable with as a driver, but today was really the first full day of me drifting a turbo car, and it's pretty sick. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm just so glad that Nick is here helping get the car together, and that I'm actually drifting it. It's still really surreal to me. If you guys have been on the channel for a while, you know the journey over years with this car. That is it for this video. Definitely need to have another test day. This information that I also learned from the tires is going to be applied to the C6 Corvette as well, so it's all really, really useful. Let me know what you guys think about our first real proper 3-rotor Rx7 drifts, and I will see you guys in the next video.